Could a Christian be a Viking? Can a Christian be a Viking? I see those two questions in the comments to my videos now and then, and in this video here I want to answer those questions, and I will answer from a historical perspective, but also from a more contemporary perspective. But first of all, welcome to my local woods. I'm just having a small campfire here in this beautiful early April sunny weather. Spring is here and the birds are singing, which makes me very happy. So, could a Christian be a Viking? The short answer from a historical perspective is absolutely yes. Many Christian people, or people who were baptized, or people who would say that they were Christians, were also Vikings. It became more common towards the end of the Viking Age. The Christian faith was no hindrance to Viking activities, so to speak. I believe it was a lot more common among kings and earls and nobility to be baptized than if you compare it to the common people. The common people, most likely, they held on to their old faith. They worshipped the old Norse gods. Typically that would be, Thor, that everyone has heard about, but also Frey, not Freya, but also Freya. But I'm talking about the brother, fertility god, very important for the farmers. And I, leaning on archaeological evidence and what you can sort of read between the lines in the sagas, the common people held on to the old faith, the pagan faith, so to speak. When it comes to nobility, kings and earls and so on, becoming a Christian, or being a Christian, being baptized, was a political move. It was about power. It was something you did to strengthen alliances with other powerful people. And I think that if you compare it to politicians today, I see a little bit of a comparison there to all those politicians embracing, the Agenda 2030. I don't want to get too political here, but you can connect the dots there, I guess. So while kings and earls and so on would be baptized very often, especially towards the end of the Viking Age, the common man and the common woman, as I said, held on to the old gods and the old customs. We call it sed, which is not really the same as a religion. It's more a form of your faith being ingrained in your daily life. It's a decentralized type of faith, if you will. Now, if you're new to this channel, please hit that subscribe button. That would be awesome. It really helps the channel if you can do that. Write a comment as well. My name is Bjorn and I'm a historical novelist, Viking Age enthusiast. So yeah, welcome to my local woods and welcome to this channel. If you look at the kings, like the Norwegian and Danish kings and so on, the Viking kings, many of them were Christians. When I say Christians, they were not Christians like people today are Christians. It was very different back then. But, both the Olavs, like Olav Haraldsson, later he was called the Holy, Olaf the Holy. He was not a very holy man when he lived, but that's a story for another time. And also, before him, we had another Olaf Tryggvason. They both were claimed to be Christians, and they tried to Christianize Norway. And by the way, I think that this is a good time to introduce you to the sponsor of this video, which is NordVPN. The internet is becoming more and more difficult to navigate because of things like, well, censorship, and also now that they are rolling out this age verification on more and more platforms and in more and more countries. And it really is about collecting data about you, let's be honest about that. With a VPN like NordVPN, you can avoid that. You just set your VPN to a different country. NordVPN also has something called Threat Protection Pro, which protects you against things like phishing, fake web stores, scam emails, and malware. It doesn't slow down your internet connection. It works perfectly there in the background. So a big thank you to NordVPN for sponsoring this video. If you use the link nordvpn.com/Bjorn Andreas, you will get 4 months extra on a 2-year plan, and there's a 30-day money-back guarantee there for you. Okay, now back to the video. If we look at maybe the mightiest Viking king of them all, Knut, who ruled England, Denmark, and for a while also Norway, he was a Christian. His father, Svein Forkbeard, seems to have been not a Christian, or if he was, he had a very relaxed relationship to that faith. There seems to have been a conflict between him and his father, Harald Bluetooth, and I don't know if it was the faith because, or other things. His father was a Christian, and I believe, as I said, that Svein Forkbeard was not. If we move back in history, another very essential and important Viking king, in English you call him Harald Finehair. He was not a Christian because, you know, that was very early. That was before Christianity kind of arrived in Norway. But yeah, many of these kings, as I said, they were baptized. Another important figure towards the end of the Viking Age is Erling Skjalgsson. And he seems to have adopted Christianity for political reasons. And I think that was very typical. We can also read in the sagas. You'll have to excuse me. I can talk about this for hours, but about conflicts. Like there is one conflict that I find very almost fascinating between Eric the Red, that you may have heard of, the guy, the Greenland guy. He was not a Christian, but his wife was, and they did not have a happy marriage at all. Let's just put it that way. And by the way, you may have noticed that I have new clothes. Yeah, they are brand new, handmade, and the fabric is plant dyed. So red trousers and this beautiful color here on my tunic. And there's a video on my Patreon about that process of plant dyeing these fabrics, if you're interested in that. And now the question, can you be a Viking if you're a Christian? As I said, I see these questions in the comments section now and then, and you know, I don't think that these questions are stupid at all. I think that they are well thought through. So let's answer this from a more contemporary standpoint, if you will. And by the way, I had to move because the sun, I love the sun, but it was my camera, my Viking camera here had a bit of an issue with the sun. So I'm standing here in the shadow of this tree. First of all, can you be a Viking? Like now, can you be a Viking? Of course, obviously, you can't be a Viking in the historical sense. A Viking was someone who went Viking, which meant traveling to gain wealth, to discover, to plunder, to you know, conquer things like that. Last time I checked, that's not legal. Well, maybe in some places still, but you know, you get what I'm saying. So yeah, obviously you can't be a Viking in the historical sense today. Some while ago, a lot of people, they tried to make themselves very interesting by saying that I'm not a Viking, I'm Norwegian, or I'm not a Viking, I'm Swedish. How to state the bloody obvious, right? I think that you can be a Viking today. I absolutely think that, but not obviously in the historical sense. You can embrace the attitudes, the life philosophies, the wisdom and all of that. And I do think that, you know, if you're a Christian and you want to embrace all of that, I think that's absolutely possible. Who am I to say, you know, that you can't? So, you know, do what you want. That's my opinion. So the short answer again is yes. If you're a Christian, you can also be a Viking. It goes without saying that Christianity was not embraced by the people, you know, the so-called Norse pagans. Generally it was forced upon people, and that was a political, it was about politics, it was about centralizing power. I have talked about that before here on this channel. But nevertheless, I think that this misconception, because there is a misconception out there that the Vikings were 100% pagans, and that's not true. That's not true. My opinion on this, based on a lifetime of being obsessed with the Viking age, is that, you know, most likely the Viking warrior traveling to England, you know, for instance, and raiding or, you know, settling there, he would not be a Christian. He had his connection, you know, with him, connection to the old gods, the ancestors, and the land that he came from. Now, as a pagan myself, you know, I'm connected to this land. That's what it means to me. I feel a very strong connection. You know, yeah. But you can do that if you're a Christian too, I guess, you know. Who am I to say that you can't? Of course you can. But there is still something to be said about what we lost. There is something that I think that we as Europeans lost when we, at least for some time, we lost our so-called pagan roots. We kind of lost that connection to the land, perhaps. And now we are seeing the rise of paganism in Europe, and I think that's a wonderful thing. It's about connection to something real, something you can touch and feel and smell, you know, and see and watch and be a part of.